Welcome back to the channel. I got some interesting resources for you guys, I think. I wanted to did a quick brainstorm myself on if I was going to influence someone in a very short period of time, give them the resources, basically teach them how to fish themselves with the goal of wealth, with the goal of being rich. What are the things that I would give them rather than telling them how to do it, having them have no idea themselves why or what? They're not changing as a person. They're not actually wealthy in their mind. They're just doing and copying. They're not using their own creativity and resourcefulness. If I was to tell someone how to become wealthy as an individual, to be able to look out on the world and see wealth, see the paths that you need to take to gain wealth, what would I do? What would I give them? That's what I want this video to be about. These are going to be pretty straightforward, simple references for you. And really these references are coming for what has impacted me the most, what has changed me in a way that I'm like, wow, I am not the person I used to be because of these influences, because of the thoughts and beliefs that have changed within me. What are those things that have brought that upon me? I want to talk about that today. I've got some books for you, and then I got some other resources too. But let's go right into it. So the first book that I want to tell you guys about, it's a really little book. It's called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. This book is very, very short. It is approximately, this particular book that I'm holding is 20-something pages, I think. It's 25 pages. 25 pages. And this book basically talks about what I'm talking about right now. In order to have certain, basically a reality bring you something, you have to be the kind of person first. It talks about how there's a person that's in jail. Why are they in jail? Because they're a jail person. They're the person that was playing through their head, for example, man, I wish I could walk by that garage, my friend's garage when it's open, or the house on my street. If I could walk by it and I saw this whatever thing in there, I would take it and run if no one was watching. They're playing through these things in their head. The instant they start doing that, they start practicing it, changes who they are. When that opportunity arises, they then act on it. They almost don't even have the choice in the moment. They took advantage of opportunity in a way that then ended them up in jail. They went down the wrong path. They're playing the wrong beliefs, the wrong worldview in their head. And it basically just talks about you are what you think. And my reason for suggesting this book to you is just so that you understand that concept well and understand what you think is what you will be. Be resourceful, and be careful with your environment and what's around you. Make sure it's pushing you towards good and away from bad. And so that's just a simple foundational book. And that's one thing. So on that same topic, the next book is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This is an extreme classic mindset wealth building book. Pretty simple. All this stuff is really simple. It lays out how to think and what beliefs to have and what to do to gain wealth. And all of these, most of these books are unspecific. This isn't telling you how to make money in crypto or how to start a business necessarily. This is how to be wealthy, period. How to use your individuality, your resources, and your creativity in your environment to make wealth. And I simply recommend Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I will have all the links for these underneath the video, and they are affiliate links if it's a book. Not everything I'm going to give you is a book. But for what that's worth, they're going to be below. And I definitely recommend that book. It is one of those books you read, and you read other self-help books, and you're like, wow, this is the same concept I read in Think and Grow Rich, and Think and Grow Rich was first. So it's just a good classic. Along the same line, Napoleon Hill again, How to Sell Your Way Through Life. I did not appreciate selling the way I do now before I read this book. In my mind, selling was, it brought the picture of me, the stereotype of a car salesman. And it brought dishonesty. It brought all these terrible stereotypes. And I'll tell you, a good salesman talks about how to become a master salesman in the book, which I don't necessarily think that I am, but I want to be. Anyway, um, but it totally just throws all that out, and also helps me realize that almost any interaction, like I want to get married, I find a great woman or girl to sell myself to. Any interaction with a friend, you want your friend to like you, well, you're selling yourself to them too. And sales is everywhere. Almost, every interaction in a sense could almost be thought of as a sales interaction. You want to move up at work. This book, I should tell you guys this story. It's a little bit too personal. I'm not sure if I can do it, but this book is directly, in my mind, responsible for a pretty large pay raise at one of the jobs I had in my past, because I read this book. I looked at my job and I was like, oh my goodness, there's this amazing opportunity, and it's in their best interest to act on it, and I will benefit and they will benefit in the interaction. And it all worked out, and it gave me immense confidence to go in and sell this idea, because I knew, for example, that it was in their best interest to do it. So there's nothing weird about it. It was just very straightforward. He talks a lot about things like the golden rule, and how you really need to be looking for, you basically have to believe that what you're selling is actually in the best interest of the people you're talking about. The words you use, the physical, the body language, you can read books that talk about body language and how to talk, and there's a definite value in some of those. But if you're missing, and the product you're selling isn't even something that is good for the person, you're basically just lying. But if you know that this idea is going to save them and help them massively, you're going to talk that way. It's going to come out from your true, authentic belief. Some of those simple ideas are in this book, and I would just recommend it to anyone. Another book, another classic. If you've ever heard of Tony Robbins, I know a large percentage of my channel follows Richard Hart. Richard Hart mentions Tony Robbins a lot, and in pretty much a positive way. Almost every time I've heard him mention him, and I totally agree. Tony Robbins is a special person, and this is it's bigger, but it's a good book. This book is, let me mute that. This book is just a good self-help book in general. It does a really good job of tackling things like limiting beliefs. You need to believe you can, or you're not even going to try it. And it helps kind of convince you that you can, and give you really good habits to set you off on a path that is much more successful than otherwise. This particular book's called Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins. But that's I think it's a really good book. And then what else do we have here? We have another book. This book here is called Trading in the Zone. I've mentioned this book on this channel before. And I brought that one out. That one is much more specific in its intent, and I'm bringing that one out because, like I said, most of my audience is in crypto, and there is a trading aspect to what we're doing. And I think Trading in the Zone is a very good book to have read. And there's just some really simple principles in the book that I think, if you're going to trade and you're going to interact with things that fluctuate a lot in price, you need to have a certain mindset when you're going in. For example, you need to accept the downside of your actions before the trade. You need to look at things as a percent. What's the percent chance that this is going to happen? Automatically, when you do that, you've accepted the percent chance it's not. You need to be able to accept that it won't work out before you go in, or lots of bad things happen. So that's just a good trading book. And it is more philosophy oriented than, it doesn't teach you necessarily how to trade. It teaches you how to think. And then another book, this is a more recent written book. It's called $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozy. And he is a more recent guy. I really recommend him a lot. He's another, I don't know what his net worth is, over 100 million, I think. And he's got some really just, he's very talented at breaking the, I would say he's more emphasized on sales again, but breaking things down into very understandable, simple concepts. And this book is just the most straightforward, value-filled book. I feel pretty confident that if you read it, you're going to be like, yeah, that is a book full of value, and I would highly recommend that. So let's get into, I guess before I get too much farther, I do want to say these books are not God, right? They're not perfect. These are people that are successful, that have been successful, and have written books that people have recognized as value adding. It doesn't mean they're all right. I don't necessarily agree with everything, but I am better off because I've read them, because I've been exposed to these ideas. I think I'm really better off, and I'm really suggesting to you guys that if you have not been exposed to these, expose yourself. Take control of the environment around you. Make your environment one that is pushing you to be something better. That's pushing you towards good and away from bad. And these are resources that I think can help you. Let's go into some other stuff here. This is free stuff, so I think some of this is pretty good. So let's go here. So Naval, at Naval, I'll put the link below to another Twitter account. This guy is a special dude. He has a pinned tweet. If you just look up Naval on Twitter, he has a pinned tweet. It's top tweet. How to get rich without getting lucky, that's what I want. I want to know if I have wealth, I want to know what I did to do it. It wasn't gamble. It wasn't just getting lucky. I put myself in a position to be wealthy, and I knew what I was doing at the time. There's always speculation and unknowns in the moment, but I was intentionally taking this path over this path, and he does a really good job, just with really short tweets. I would read this and just take it for all that it's worth. Along the same line, I'll put a link to this too. He has an interview that's 3 hours and 35 minutes. I probably, when this came out, when I first found this, I probably listened to this video, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. I mean, I would at least go to certain parts in it, and I would just go crazy. I'm trying to make it bigger, but anyway, I would highly recommend listening to that. This guy, he is a billionaire, and he's got some wisdom, and he's very talented at relaying that in a very understandable, simple way. So that's that. Let's go to, here's Alex Hormozzi. He's the guy that wrote $100 million Offers. He wrote this book right here, if I can get this right. He has a YouTube channel, and he's on Twitter too. I would, it's just another thing you can do. Sub to this guy, follow him on Twitter, and change your environment. Have this guy be influencing you, the ideas and concepts that he has. I would scroll through his videos and find ones that are interesting to you and just suck it all up. I have two honorable mentions. One is Carter Thomas. I've talked about him on this channel before. He doesn't tweet a lot, but I like to consider the things that he's saying. He's, in my opinion, is a wise man. He is a trader, so he comes at things from that perspective. Just a good Twitter account to follow. And another honorable mention is Alexander Lorenzo, his YouTube channel. He's also on Twitter, but just another person. This guy's specifically focused on crypto. I think truth is a pretty high value of his, and I think he's just another good person to just consider what he's saying, be aware of what he is saying. I think he's also a fan of Richard Hart, and for what it's worth also. But those are just side things. So anyway, take these things, take them for what they're worth, take control of your future. Start putting things in your environment now that are changing who you are and making you into the kind of person that is better than otherwise. And I would say be so selfish with these books. I'd also say look through these resources, find the ones that your curiosity and your interest pushes you towards. I think if you start reading these, you're going to want to read all of them. But I tend to follow my own curiosity. If I'm not curious, if I'm not interested, then I'm probably not going to remember. I'm not going to get the value in it that there is. Feel free to like skim read these books. Just flip through, find stuff that's interesting to you. Go about it however you want. This is all, in a sense, I think this should all be taken jealously. It's the same way when you're listening to me. Take the good stuff, leave the rest. Think for yourself. Consider if it's interesting to you. If you think it's going to be valuable to you, then go heavy on it and memorize it. Just absorb yourself in it. Anyway, I wanted to share these with you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.